Welcome to the News9 Plus Show on the world's first news and current affairs OTT platform, News9 Plus. The entire country is rejoicing as the Pran Pratishtha of the Grand Ram Temple in Ayodhya is set to take place on January 22nd. The week-long rituals have already started and all the arrangements and preparations are in full swing to make it a mega event. The long pending and controversial issue of the Ram Temple was resolved by the Apex Court with a unanimous decision. The judgment of Honorable Supreme Court has been welcomed by millions of Indians irrespective of religious affiliations. Now joining me on the News9 Plus show today are to discuss the relevance of the event and to elaborate more on what this means for the socio-cultural fabric of our nation. Author and political analyst Shantanu Gupta, along with NEENA Rai, the writer of Amazing Ayodhya, and my colleague Kartikeya Sharma. Kartikeya, let me begin by you. How significant is this development politically, culturally, but also tell us that what is going to happen on the 22nd, how big is this particularly for Prime Minister Narendra Modi?
If you talk about the ceremony, I think it's I would describe it something as important as Constitution Day, independence, when we won the war against Pakistan. I'm saying that if it's important, in which range I would put it? I would put it in that range. Now, a lot of naysayers can say, this is just an inauguration of the temple. No, this is just not an inauguration of a temple. You know, this is about a perspective. It's about the cultural aspiration of people. It is also about the fact, the way you look at your own country. This temple is not dedicated to a deity. This temple is being built for the Rashtra. अगर आप पूछिए तो लोग बोलते हैं राष्ट्र को समर्पित है ये मंदिर. So it's not about a sampradaya. It's not about a community. This temple is a reflection of the aspiration of a billion-strong country. That yes, for 1,000 years, our part of history was plundered. It was done away. We had historians who overlooked it. They tried to deprive people of their own rich heritage, and then there was a political movement, and one part of it was to reclaim Ayodhya. Another part of it is maybe to reclaim Kashi and Mathura, but that is a beginning. The larger part is, it is okay to express yourself as a Hindu on street. You don't become communal. It is okay to speak in your vernacular languages. It's perfectly okay. It is okay to politically express yourself as a Hindu and say that it's about my community. Because what had happened last 60 years was that the burden of secularism was on the shoulders of the majority community. And just because you are a majority doesn't mean that you turn majoritarian. So for me, the Pran Pratishthan ceremony is not limited. It's not limited to a temple construction. It is about national rebuilding. It's about the rebuilding the character of the nation. It is very important. That is why communist historians, they get very enraged when we talk about Ayodhya. I think these are profound, fundamental, philosophical issues which have been dealt head-on by Prime Minister Modi.
Fair enough. A very important point by Kartikeya of how Prime Minister Narendra Modi also has taken a very strong step. Of course, the legal route was important, and that happened also a few years back. But I have with me right now on the show, joining us live, how significant and important is this? And had you, Shantanu, also, because you tracked Uttar Pradesh very closely, Ayodhya very closely, and of course the Chief Minister as well, how significant is this for the lakhs and lakhs of Hindus who had almost, not given up, I would say, but imagined that this is perhaps impossible?
Yeah. Aditya, Jai Shri Ram to all your viewers. I am currently sitting in Ayodhya. I landed in Ayodhya on the Maharishi Valmiki International Airport. I took a flight from Delhi, and throughout the way, there were bhajan mandalis were chanting melodious Ram bhajans throughout the way. Right? As I landed on the airport, people for the longest time, almost for next 30-40 minutes, people were in airport taking picture, touching feet of the airport as if, right? And as they came out, they were taking pictures. I'm in Ayodhya. And I'm sure you're able to hear the sound. People are just chanting, hearing sound. There are people on the road, sons on the road. Hanumanji's flag, Ramji's flags are being sold everywhere. Ayodhya, जैसे हम हिंदी में कहते हैं, दुल्हन की तरह सजी हुई. Right. Anyone who cannot read the public pulse today has to be blind and deaf. And I'm getting, because I go out for my books outside India, you know, in UK alone, there are 350 events happening on that day. UK alone, right? America, there are amazing a number of events happening. Australia, South Africa, wherever there's large Indian diaspora, number of events are happening. And as Rama has traces across the globe, right? Thailand's national book is Ramayana. It's called Ramakien.
Right.
Even Indonesia, which has a Muslim population, has a Ramayana called Kakawin Ramayana. So that's why after 500 years, in his own city Ayodhya, in his own state Uttar Pradesh, in his own country India, Bharatvarsh, Ram is finally coming back. And it's so ironical and so, or maybe not ironical, it's a Devyog that Ram Lalla himself fought the case. He was the plaintiff in the court, and Ram Lalla got his house back. And now I think his statue is already there, and the Pran Pratishtha formally will happen on 22nd January. So that's why it's something momentous. Anyone who can miss the public pulse this time, it's very unfortunate for that person. I feel very unlucky, unfortunate, and disconnected for those people who have the invitation in their hand and they don't want to come.
Yeah,
you know,
that's what I want to come to you, Shantanu, now, because you mentioned the public pulse, and we have Rahul Gandhi, who is actually on a Bharat Jodo Nyaya Yatra right now, and politically speaking, and otherwise, Jairam Ramesh and others have issued a statement stating that Sonia Gandhi, Rahul and others will not attend, including the Congress president. But individually, a lot of Congress leaders have said that we'll go to Ayodhya. But why do you actually feel that it's almost a political suicide for them? It's
a political suicide. See, what is politics? Politics is representing people. Are people of India were looking for Ram Temple? Yes. People of Uttar Pradesh, people of the whole of India, what are they looking for? I don't know how a Congress politician in Uttar Pradesh from tomorrow onwards, after 22nd January, will face public. How the people, how Congress politicians in various parts of India will face public. You say you boycotted, and on the contrary, we know when canonization of Mother Teresa happened, Sonia Gandhi wrote a beautiful letter that, okay, lakhs and lakhs of Indians, including Christians, are very happy, and I'm sending Margaret Elva and Mr. Valerio to the event, right? And we were seeing those iftar parties on and on, right? So now I'm saying, what's the problem with Hindu faith? And it's not some some smaller temple coming here and there. It's Sri Ram temple, which was the fight is on from last 500 years. It's a documented proof. Went to multiple courts, High Court, the ASI excavation, one of the second or third largest, longest case in Supreme Court history, and then it got solved by 5-0. So I think I think this is my bet. If Sonia Gandhi, someone like Mamata Banerjee would have come to the event, they would have taken half of the limelight from Narendra Modi. But I don't know why. What's stopping them? What's stopping them? Is their ego, or maybe whatever limited vote bank they have? They don't want to irritate that vote bank. I don't know what is this that's stopping them to come. You know, fair enough. For a very long time, the Congress party, particularly, and their leaders have been criticized for minority appeasement. But to what extent? Because this is something that public is, celebrating all across the country. Karthikeya, let me come to you. You tracked perhaps the Congress party for the longest, for a couple of decades now, and you interacted personally with the top leadership of the party. Have they, failed to understand the public pulse? Have they failed to understand that, here is a majority population that was fighting, that was struggling, that was waging almost this war to construct the Ram temple? And in a way, we could say that the Ram Lalla was fighting himself inside the Supreme Court. What exactly happened?
I think the old Congress is gone. This is the left of center Congress. Though Congress had been flirting with left since the time of Indira Gandhi. Indira Gandhi could sustain her government in '67 with the help of the left. So when people were surprised in 2004 when Sonia Gandhi came to power with the help of left, no. Well, she, this was something which she learned from her mother-in-law, Indira Gandhi, '67. That's how they survived. The right, the Congress R, because there was a split in Congress. First it was Congress R, then it became Congress O. Now saying that, there are two things here. When we say left of Congress, I wouldn't use the word right of Congress, neither I would use the conservatives. I would say the core of the Congress is gone. This core of the Congress was represented by people like Madan Mohan Malviya, Sardar Patel, Rajaji, Govind Vallabh Pant. I can just go on and go on and go on. These were the people who worked to renovate Somnath Temple. Now Somnath Temple, it's open. Jawaharlal Nehru said, well, you don't use the funds. He requested Rajendra Prasad not to go. That was his vision of the so-called the French secularism, which he tried to put in place in India. and you know, I have no quarrel with that. The issue is that secularism does not mean that you do not care for your own cultural heritage. And when I say you don't care for your cultural heritage, what I mean is that, one, for example, Indian temples are not in control of Hindus, they can control the bureaucrats. That one. I understand that it started with the fact that vested interests were not allowing Dalits to come to the temple. Now that has been taken care of, but the government is still the custodian. So the government has not changed. One.
Right.
Second thing is, which Congress leader after Patel or after 60s actively worked towards renovating a temple? जिसे हम हिंदी में कहते हैं मंदिरों का जीर्णोद्धार.
बिल्कुल.
I don't think anyone except Prime Minister did it. People made fun of him when he did that in Kashi. People said कि पुराने वाले तो आपने गिरा दिए. अरे, they were not पुराने वाले temples. They were 50 years old, 100 years old. There was encroachment. What he has done is, you see it from the perspective of a pilgrim. If you look at sites of pilgrimage 50 years ago, 100 years ago, they were decaying. Either they restricted it to a section, or there was no work being done. There is something called a temple economy. It was part of our cultural business heritage. One. Second thing, temples attract people. When Prime Minister talk about circulation of Indian money, sorry, I have to say this, it's also about temple pilgrimage. You know, our temple pilgrimage is a great domestic economy. And what is BJP saying? Rashtra ke prati samarpit hai. So it's not the deity which is also being installed there. Entire Ayodhya is being rebuilt. I have covered Ayodhya. I would say when you used to go to Ayodhya 15 years ago, it's stank. I'm using the word, it's stank, you know. There was no work being done. You know, very regularly with my family, I would go to Kashi. It was a torture to go to the main temple.
All of it has been reimagined. All of it has been reimagined.
Try going to Baki Bihari.
Absolutely.
Try going to Baki Bihari. Now, the sort of work he has done, people should understand from the perspective of those who believe in God.
Absolutely.
So it's just not a display of power. It is about the pleasure of going to a sacred space, which is very important.
You made an important point, Rashtra ko samarpit. I want to get in NEENA at this particular point. NEENA, you wrote that fantastic book. We have interviewed you on that for our documentary, The Return of Ram. But it is also being seen as a chance to reconnect with our civilizational roots. It's giving a new identity to the Hindus, not just across India, but all across the globe. How big historically is this event?
See, this event is a 1 in a 500-year event. So not even for a minute can we take away from that fact that this has happened in 500 years. We are a very lucky generation that we are able to see the returning of Ram Lalla to Ayodhya. It has united Hindus all over the world. It has given Hindus a sense of pride, and it is sowing the seeds of dharma again in this country, wherein for the longest time this country was ruled by Vidharmis. And in this country, the education system was in the hands of communists and anti-Hindu forces. Therefore, the arrival of this temple and in the last 10 years have been very instrumental. And please bear in mind, when Modi ji fought these elections, I remember I had campaigned. I used to live in the Middle East. I left everything there and I came to India to be able to participate in making him win. So Modi ji, while he may have been instrumental in getting this done, it is millions of Hindus who have worked together to get him to that position. He is for us like Hanumanji, who has helped Ramji to come back to Ayodhya. And I am in touch with people internationally, whether they are in the US or any other country, and the joy they have, the images they sent me, the invites they sent me, it's really lovely, it's heartening. It's lovely to see the resurgence of pride in Hindus, of happiness in Hindus. It has been absolutely lovely. It has been stunning. And I'm so glad that Modi ji, we all chose Modi ji as our PM, and he has delivered, the Ram Mandir to us after so many years of struggle.
Well, certainly the entire country will be watching that very closely. It's a historic event and perhaps one of the kind in our life. But Shantanu, if I can get you in, I have a two-part question for you. NEENA mentioned Prime Minister Modi and, how important it was to elect him in 2014. But how big will it be for Modi and BJP, politically speaking, in these elections? Because many predict not just a sweep, but a historic sweep for him? And secondly, do you think that this historic Pran Pratishtha will lead in and pave the way for Gyanvapi and Sri Krishna Janmabhoomi as well?
I'll answer the second question again. The second question first. So I think fortunately Gyanvapi and Krishna Janmabhoomi both are finally accepted by the court as a plea. So both are in the court from quite some time. In Gyanvapi's case, the survey is already ordered, and just 2 days after the Pran Pratishtha of Ayodhya, the survey is already there. The sealed report of the survey is already there. The sealed envelope will be opened on 24th of January, right? And it seems the result will be very encouraging. The people I talked to who were associated with the survey. In the Mathura case, the survey is finally ordered. The survey and the colored photography is already ordered, right? So they are going exactly in the right direction. And the lawyers I talked to, they say Mathura and Gyanvapi legally are far more easier cases, right? Because they're far recent in the history than Ayodhya, where most of the things was dilapidated. Number one. For Narendra Modi, can you see this interesting Devyog or coincidence that Narendra Modi managed the Yatra for Lal Krishna Advani ji, and today he's the Prime Minister. Mahant Abednath was at the head of the Ram Mandir committees by VHP, and his disciple Mahant Yogi Adityanath is the Chief Minister today. Politically, it will be super big. After the 3 major victories of North Indian states, recently, Narendra Modi was anyway, and when the BJP has not given any face, it was on Modi ki guarantee. And after the Modi ki guarantee win, just like a couple of months back, now this huge consolidation, cultural, ethnic, Hindu, Sanatani consolidation is happening, right? And people are waiting for it. People knew that in 2019, now the verdict is there. But how beautifully, as Kartikeya was saying, that Ayodhya is a very different town. I am coming, Aditya, to Ayodhya from last 6 years. Because when I was writing the biography of Yogi Adityanath, from Lucknow to Gorakhpur is a 4-hour journey, and between exactly is Ayodhya. So I started going to Ayodhya. Ayodhya was a tiny, whiny town, small streets. Now there are 4-lane streets inside the city. It's a municipal corporation now. Now we got the second mayor. If you see the Ram Ki Pairi, the Naya Ghat, the Guptar Ghat, they're amazing. Their aartis are becoming as big as Kashi's aartis, right? Yes. Just see the boatsmen, the way the whole city is managed, the house they lit, the waste management, the lighting, the shop, how the street vendors are very nicely put in some very smart, modern urban city. So it's becoming like a very close to how we see Tirupati, right? But a lot of now big hotels are coming, big dharmshalas are coming, a lot of people are starting libraries, centers. It'll be a big cultural center in years to come. A lot of people are putting a lot of money to this place. So along with Ram Ji ki Kripa, this place is also getting a lot of Lakshmi Ji ki Kripa. As I think Kartik was saying, India runs on a lot of towns runs on temple town economy. There are more than 200 towns who have a very prosperous temple town economy, starting from Tirupati, which is a 3,000-4,000 crore rupees economy, from a smaller town, which is 50-100 crore rupees economy, and Ayodhya will beat all of that. And not only for Ayodhya, whole of Eastern UP and Eastern India, because there are multiple other places. Because someone will come here, will go to Kashi, will go to Prayag, will go to a lot of Buddhist sites nearby, will maybe want to go to Bihar, which has Nepal, which has connection to Mata Sita, right? So amazing. I'm saying I can just say the way Ayodhya is being ready for welcoming Sri Ram, that is also being happening beautifully.
You know, Aditya, I think the truth is experiential. We have to understand that 15-20 years ago, people after celebrating festivals at their home, when they enter their offices, corporate, वो अपना तिलक मिटा लेते थे. Yeah. Less they are framed as communal, conservative, communitarian. Now it doesn't happen. There is no shame in wearing your cultural artifacts. That is why I say that it's just not about the deity. It is also about cultural assertiveness, cultural assertion. See, what is Prime Minister trying to do in Tamil Nadu? A lot of people say, na, bar he is going to Tamil Nadu. Because there was an India in Tamil Nadu before the Dravidian movement. The Dravidian movement is 90 years old. But Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Andhra, didn't they have spiritual linkages with Kashi? Didn't they have spiritual linkages with Mathura? Yeah. Who are the pilgrims coming to Kashi? 40% of them are coming from south. So this cultural interconnectedness of this country as a Rashtra is the basic underpinning which people need to understand. When Rahul Gandhi says India is a federal country and this India will balkanize, I mean to say it's a limited argument. Yes, India recognizes our states. We have been divided administratively on the basis of languages. But India is not America. India is culturally older. It is a young country, old nation. It is united by what? It is united by a civilization.
Absolutely, that's the nervous system.
What the communists contest is that we did not have a consciousness of a nation. It's a product of coloniality.
Yes.
But what RSS has spoken about it, that our consciousness of a nation predates coloniality, and it has not only out-survived British coloniality, but it has out-survived the Middle East or West Asian coloniality, which was represented in this country through Tughlaqs or the Khiljis or the Mughals, and where the cultural points of the Sanatan Dharma were reduced as mere symbols.
Absolutely.
Somnath was broken. So I would just conclude by saying that when we talk about Ayodhya or when we talk about Ram Temple, we are talking about a new way of looking of our Rashtra, Matrabhumi. I mean to say it is part and parcel of a bigger thing.
Neena, I remember Shantanu was speaking about the infrastructure development and the reimagined Ayodhya now. I remember visiting Ayodhya twice in the last 10 years, and I was very hurt. I was very disappointed with the way things were on ground. And I had personally never imagined that such a transformation will really happen. When we speak about temple pilgrimage, when we speak about pilgrimage tourism, do you think that Ayodhya will turn into, I think, one of the biggest pilgrimage sites in the coming months and years? And how do you see this kind of an infrastructure development? What are we going to witness post the Pran Pratishtha?
So, there are two things I want to mention here. One is how will Ayodhya expand? So, what is the progress of Ayodhya? So, let me tell you, in the previous times that I have been to Ayodhya, yes, you're right, the changes weren't as much. But recently, I was there around 15 days ago, and it was absolutely brilliant. Not only is the municipal corporation working in Ayodhya, but also every house in Ayodhya, I noticed, was undergoing renovation. Each mutt, ashram, house was undergoing renovation, undergoing painting. Ayodhya has the capacity, if it can be managed well, and the Yogi government will need to look at it and work at it properly, it has the capacity to be the largest pilgrimage center in the world. And if it can take the largest number of pilgrims, it can also have the largest number of pilgrims per day. But the capacity needs to be managed by the government. If the management is great, then Ayodhya can really be a great pilgrim city. The second thing I want to say, and this is in addition to what Karthikeya was saying, we are always told that we were not a nation. But if you take a look at the Valmiki Ramayana, in the Valmiki Ramayana, it is clearly stated from Ayodhya, Kashi, Mathura, Matsya, Magad, down to Dravid and to the oceans, it is one empire. So this is a lie that has been perpetuated to Hindus. It has been told to Hindus again and again that we did not have a concept of nation state. We were not one country. This is a lie. We were all under the patronage of the Emperor Dashrath, and whose son is Ram Bhagwan. So let us also remember our history during this time, and let us also remember what is written in the Ramayana. And I have mentioned these things in my book, Amazing Ayodhya, and also I have mentioned this in Adbhut Ayodhya, the Hindi version of the book.
Well, we're running out of time. Just 10 seconds, Karthikeya.
A lot of people say that this is a cultural. I'll quote Ram Manohar Lohia. People need to understand that even the socialists in 50s and 60s had a different way of addressing this. मैं नहीं जानता हूं कि राम थे या कि नहीं थे, ये भी नहीं कि वे परमेश्वर या दशरथ नंदन थे, लेकिन भारत की करोड़ों जनता जिस राम के सहारे सुख दुख जीवन मरण का सब कुछ सहन कर लेती है, राम में समर्पित और विसर्जित कर देती है, मेरी आस्था उन करोड़ों भारतवासियों में है. आई मीन टू से राम विष्णु के पूर्ण अवतार नहीं, कृष्ण थे, बट राम इज अनुकरणीय. उनकी ना केवल पूजा की जाती है, वो अकेले भगवान हैं जो अपनी पत्नी के नाम से भी जाने जाते हैं, सियावर रामचंद्र की जय। आप नहीं बोलते हैं लक्ष्मी के पति की जय, सियावर रामचंद्र की जय आप ये बोलते हैं। वो अनुकरणीय भी हैं क्योंकि वो मर्यादा पुरुषोत्तम है। 16 कलाओं में कृष्ण निपुण थे, 12 कलाओं में राम निपुण थे, लेकिन जो किंवदंतियां हैं, घर में रामायण रखी जाती है। कृष्ण ने बोला था मेरे मुंह में ब्रह्मांड देखो, बट राम ने कभी नहीं बोला। मर्यादाओं में रहते हुए, शिव की पूजा करते हुए, कैकेयी के छल के बावजूद भी 16 साल जंगल में बिताए। सो वी हैव टू, पीपल नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट यू नीड टू रीइमेजिन राम not in just context of a deity and a devotee, but in context of the values he put for the people of this country. So Ram needs to be reimagined by those who do not understand what he means for a billion strong country.
Perhaps that's the reason we say Ram Rameti Rameti, Rame Rame Manorame, Sahasranam Tutulyam, Ramanam Varnane. Thank you so much to Neena, Shantanu and my colleague Kartike to join us on this debate. Looking forward, not just us, but perhaps lakhs and lakhs of Indians for the Pran Pratishtha. Thanks for joining us. Interest in Lakshadweep has surged following Prime Minister Narendra Modi's recent visit, resulting in the island territory emerging as a top search on Google and sparking special travel promotions from India's portals. Prime Minister Modi's recent visit to Lakshadweep has given a boost to tourism in the scenic islands. An online travel company says there has been an increase in search for the Union Territory by a whooping 3,400%. On his Lakshadweep visit, Prime Minister Modi did what he usually does while visiting any part of India. He posted photos of his stay in Lakshadweep. He praised its pristine beaches and urged Indians to prioritize domestic trips over foreign visits. He then posted his photos and penned his thoughts on Lakshadweep. It did raise curiosity on social media, which went viral, with many Indian users comparing Lakshadweep with Maldives. A few Maldivian ministers took the bait and made unsavory comments about Prime Minister Modi and India. The Prime Minister's push for Lakshadweep as an island destination among travellers can also be seen as a counter to India's neighbour, the Maldives, which is a popular destination among the Indian elite. The result of all this has been catastrophic for Maldives. Its primary money-minting industry, tourism, is in tatters, with Indians going in for mass cancellation and Ease My Trip, one of India's biggest online travel platforms, suspending flight bookings to the island nation. As per data from the Maldives Tourism Ministry, Indians in 2023 accounted for 11.2% of the total tourist arrivals, 18.42 lakh in the island nation, with Russia being a close second with a share of 11.1%. To discuss this and a lot more, I'm joined by Ravi Gosain, Vice President, Indian Association of Tour Operators, and of course my colleague Justin Thomas. Mr. Gosain, if I can come to you straight away, how significant is this? Because I remember a couple of years back, Prime Minister visited Kashmir and he posted photographs from there, from Dal Lake and from other areas, and within weeks, there were traffic jams in Srinagar, in Gulmarg and Pahalgam. Do we see a similar trend here in Lakshadweep? What is the data? What is the trend? What is the online feedback really telling you?
Thank you for your question. Actually, we all know that there is no big ambassador than Mr. Modi or Prime Minister itself, because he has a lot of following, not only political, but for his personal charisma is there with the people. So there is no doubt that after he posted his pictures from Lakshadweep has been a great destination always. But after he has posted his picture, lots of curiosity among the travelers started. Even the travel agent, tour operators started getting lots of inquiries. But to get these kind of tourists or to cater the demand, we should have a proper infrastructure in place. So that's a big question for us as a tour operator, that should we send a tourist or not? Because we need accommodation, we need connectivity, we need flight. Because if I spend money and there is no accommodation available, so it's a waste of resources. So I think Lakshadweep will be for sure, no doubt, in coming 1 to 2 years, when the demand increases, there will be lots of private sector will come up to develop this infrastructure. I'm sure there will be lots of new travelers which will be going to Lakshadweep. You said about Maldives. I think there is no comparison between two destinations, because Maldives is already a set destination. And
Right.
also Lakshadweep has similar flora and fauna. So I think we need to develop the destination first of all, and secondly, we need to be very careful that we don't over capacity. We need to take care of over capacity. So because they have a very fragile flora and fauna. So these are the things which we need to understand. But no doubt that there will be a surge in tourism in coming years.
Justin, if I can come to you, you just completed a story, such a long journey on Lakshadweep. Why do you say that? Why is it such a long journey? Is it about the infrastructure development? Because even though we push at it as an island destination in India, not really comparing it with Maldives, but we have a lot of islands. And what exactly does the government of India or the private sector really need to do to develop Lakshadweep?
Tourism in any part of the world depends upon three major things. One is accessibility, infrastructure and marketing. So if you have accessibility in terms of flights, if you have number of flights coming in, then coupled with marketing and infrastructure, then you see the arrivals happening. For example, India has beautiful Andaman and Nicobar Islands, which are very beautiful. But at the end of the day, if you have to reach Andaman and all the spendings, if you see, you get a cheaper option probably at Maldives. So I think that's the more bigger issue that we need to do. Ensure that there is flight, because you have agreements with almost like 120 countries. But if you see the flights that you have is only with about 60 countries.
Right.
So that needs to increase. They need to market well, because in a lot of countries, the travel representatives have been taken off without having a backup in that place, without appointing, those country specific. That needs to be done, and obviously infrastructure, last mile connectivity, things like that needs to be resolved, because at the end you have to sell an end-to-end product, because any customer which is able to get that kind of relaxation in terms of planning and everything will definitely go for a product which gives all that, ticks all that boxes.
But tell me, Justin, to bring the big elephant in the room, that is Maldives. Maldives is already a big tourist destination, it is among the top in the world. Then why did a few ministers really get touchy when Prime Minister posted these pictures about promoting Lakshadweep, not even referring to Maldives, but still a controversy, a needless controversy?
I think that probably there was, at the end of the day, all people, the pie is the same. You need the same kind of tourists at the end of the day. But out here, Maldives, despite knowing that they are a huge giant in tourism, fell for that trap. I think it was even, you don't need to say directly, but things sometimes they triggered. I think that was, not called for, because they were already in a very comfortable position. Now in there, they've fallen to a trap where there's a fear of losing a large number of Indian tourists, which happens to be the largest contingent that is traveling to Maldives.
Right.
And that is going to hurt them. So yes, they fell for, probably a trap, but I think it wasn't required to, because they're already an establishment. And that was not called for.
Well, I do hope we have that, we have put that behind us. But Mr. Gosain, if I can come to you again, we've been speaking about promoting Lakshadweep. The Prime Minister has done his job. There are a lot of people commenting on it online. Already a lot of interest has been generated. But there are ecological concerns also in it. How will development and sustainability go parallelly side by side? What are your views on this? And this is an important balance, because infrastructure development and technology is important, as is ecology.
Yeah, I already said that we have to be very careful when we are making development on tourism in Lakshadweep, because of its very fragile character,
Right.
whether it's a coral reefs or flora and fauna. There will be 2 new hotels based on the greenfield projects coming by the Taj, which will be commencing in 2026. I think there should be a regulated tourism. There should be a policy from the government if there is any development, because we are starting from scratch there, to have a proper regulated tourism. So there should be a policy and should be implemented very carefully, which not filled with a crowd actually. It will be very dangerous for the island. This is what I think. And we can create a destination. If you compare with Maldives, it should be a mix of premium destination, and so that people who are traveling there, they also understand the viability and they're sensitive to ecological balance of the island.
Well, we do hope that ecology is kept in mind. But Justin, coming to you again, there's a long travel route that is particularly that is being suggested through Kochi. Do you think that is one of the major factors for not as many people really coming in for it? There are perhaps only a couple of flights that are going in there. I'm not sure if those flights are going every particular day. As Mr. Gosain also said, that Lakshadweep always was on the map, but now it will get a certain amount of push. But again, the question is about the kind of infrastructure, the question is the accessibility. So I think the government needs to do much more on ground in spite of a lot of, I wouldn't call it propaganda, but at least a lot of push that is being given to Lakshadweep.
I think private sector is just waiting for, those basic groundworks, because anything, the first mover always have to be any government. In any field, it's the government that makes the first move and the money from private comes in. So out here again, Lakshadweep, like for example, if you have to reach Lakshadweep, there's so many loops to jump through. Like you have to get a permit, you have to get a permission from your SHO, then you have to get a flight ticket, and those flight tickets are only single, small planes that are flying in. And obviously the infrastructure in that island, for example, even for a medical emergency, you need to come back to the mainland. So I think there are very basic things that needs to be sorted out in a very quick manner, because the way the push has been given by the government, by the Prime Minister himself leading, that indicates that they have planned immediate plans which are already working on ground to ensure that in the next couple of years we see some fruition, because it requires time. You need to market it, but before you market it, you need to put things in place. So you need to have those good resorts in place. You to ensure that where people can go, can travel, cannot travel, that is also equally important. So all these checks and balances along with the things that are need to be set up should be in place before it's opened up fully. Yes, people can go right now, but not at the scale that we are imagining or the way the Prime Minister actually asked people to come.
Very significant point. Mr. Gosain, if I can come to you for one final word, and this is a two-part question. One, do you think that as of now, we'll only majorly attract domestic tourists towards Lakshadweep, and it will take some time to attract international crowd? And secondly, on the modalities, on the travel, accessibility, infrastructure, are the travel companies or travel organizations, all the private organizations including yours, in conversation with the government, trying to give feedback, trying to tell them that this needs to be done to actually gain momentum there?
First about the domestic versus international passengers. As a tour operator, I will not suggest any international passenger as of now, because the accommodation is not up to the mark. So I don't want to spoil a product or a destination before even it gets popular. So first of all, infra should be in place. In future, for sure, there will be international tourists. I'll just update you that there was a category, I can say a better category resort in Bangaram Islands, which was closed due to some ecological problems few years back. This was operated by CGH Earth from Kerala. And that time there were lots of foreigners we were sending, in organized travel. And as about the modalities, as an association, as a tour operator, when we sell any destination to international passengers, we are very careful about the accessibility. Like Mr. Justin said, the airport is not capable of taking bigger planes. Only ATR is flying that too from Cochin, taking 70 or 72 passengers in a flight. So we need to understand how can we also develop that by sending cruises, for example. So there is one cruise already going, so people stay in cruise, they take excursions in the island and come back. So these kind of things can be done. We have already returned to Prime Minister after a visit from the association and given him 3-4 points about accommodation, for example, accessibility, like there should be a proper airport to have Airbus 320 or 319 so it can bring more passengers, and also safety and security for the sports activities which we have there. So these are the few things, and of course there is one permit thing also which need to be taken off, because when you're taking permission and promoting as a tourism, it should be less protocols. So I think with this, we work very closely with Ministry of Tourism, Government of India, and give suggestions time to time, and we'll be in touch with them for giving more suggestions in future for Lakshadweep.
Well, we do hope that
after 2 years, it will be a good destination.
Well, hope so. Fingers crossed. And we do hope that the Government of India actually listens to you, listens to the people, and creates a smooth process, infrastructure development, also keeping ecology and development parallelly in mind. Thank you so much, Mr. Gosain and my colleague Justin Thomas, for joining us on the show. Brand Families of Bharat delves into some of the leading homegrown brands of India that have been around since independence. Brands that happen to be flag bearers of Make in India, long before the phrase was coined. Brands that have stood the test of time and are case studies of survival. In our upcoming episode, we cover the Dabur Group, which has been around since 1884. Starting with the healthcare supplements over the years, the company has expanded into dental and hair products, cosmetics, and even juices and drinks. Dabur was amongst the first Indian family-run group that separated business from family and made the company completely professionally run. Get a peek into the phenomenal story behind the family that brought Ayurveda to the masses. Well, joining us is my colleague Amit Ranjan, who is the man behind this story. Actually, Amit, Dabur started in 1884, and there have been a lot of twists and turns that have happened really, but it's a brand of India that is really identified. What can you tell us about this long journey of the Dabur family?
Like you mentioned in your introduction, it is the brand that primarily brought Ayurveda to the masses. It started off as a healthcare supplement brand, and then over the years it expanded into other products.
Right.
In the mainstream, competing with the likes of Hindustan Levers, Pepsi, Coca-Cola. They are into juices also right now. So yeah, so there is an argument that they probably spread themselves too thin. So they are not completely an Ayurveda brand anymore, or healthcare brand anymore. But it has been a long journey, and they're almost everywhere when it comes to supplements or drinks right now, or even cosmetics.
All right, Amit, thanks for joining us on this important story. Keep a track of that story on News9 Plus.